Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been a while. I haven't put out a personal YouTube review for a very long time and I feel that it's long overdue, and I'm going to kick things off again with a review / comparison of the new Festool Planex 2 long reach sander versus the older Planex Easy long reach sander. And I'm not going to be doing a review of the Planex Easy because I've done a review on that before, and if you haven't seen it, head over to the Trade Decorator YouTube channel and you can see that and get a video of my thoughts on it as a whole. But this is going to be more of a review on this new Planex 2 and a comparison of the two combined and see what the difference is and which one's better and maybe which one suits your budget as such. Had this Planex 2 for around 6-7 months now. Got it in August last year, and I've had plenty of time to have a play around with it and get a feel for it and give an honest opinion about it and all of its features and stuff like that. So we're going to start with the Planex 2 and talk about all of the features that it has on it, and we're going to start with the head. Oh, and just a quick mention, this is going to be quite a long review video, so if you're going to want something a bit more quick and faster spec video as opposed to a review / comparison, and maybe this isn't a video for you, but you're going to be in it for the long haul if you are sticking around, so grab a cup of tea and I hope you enjoy it. So anyway, the head, we'll start with the head. So this is an eccentric motion head, which basically means that it moves around in a more random orbit, creating a finer finish. Okay, the older Planex Easy has just a rotational head, and what that means is it just spins around in a circle all the time. It just goes around in the same motion like that, like a clock, and that's fine, it does a good job. But if you're looking for a finer finish, then this is the one you want to be going for, as the eccentric motion gives a better finish over all substrates, not just paint but filler, joint compound, skim coats and things like that. So the eccentric head is a new feature for the long reach sander from Festool. The pad itself is slightly different. I'm just going to peel this off halfway so you get a little idea as to what the head looks like. So the actual head is it's a redesigned, much newer style head. Loads of extraction points there. Still got extraction around the outside, I believe, as well. And you use that in conjunction with the new abrasive, which is a multi-hole abrasive. So it's still granite abrasive. It's got lots of different holes on it. It's still got these same internal main holes, but loads of little different ones on the outside as well. And it's like a hybrid between net abrasive, granite net abrasive, and the older style granite abrasive. So it's like right in the middle, great extraction, still loads of surface area for good cutting ability and stuff like that. So it's a nice little addition that they've invented that as well and brought that out to the market. Just so you know, this, I mean, you could use it, but you wouldn't benefit from using it on the older Planex because you don't have those extraction points elsewhere. You only have those central ones there. So although this could be used on the older Planex, it wouldn't really benefit being used on there. So it's really mainly for any use on the newer Planex 2. Moving on. It comes with a really cool little feature which some of you may be familiar with already, but it's an LED light ring around the outside, and it's about ½ an inch away from the main pad, and it just sits inside a little casing of plastic, so it's fully protected. It's not going to get damaged very easily, and what that does is it illuminates the surface that you're working on, so it will illuminate the vicinity around where your sander is. It's not going to show up stuff, 6 feet away over there. But what it does is it highlights any imperfections that need more attention, more sanding or filling very, very easily, compared to going around separately with a scanning light and finding other things as well. And I find this light, which I'll show you now, is actually better than a handheld scanning light, because although it's only 800 lumens, don't be fooled into thinking that that's not going to be powerful enough to show up anything, because it's actually the opposite. It shows up everything. And it takes your preparation and your filling and everything to the next level. This thing will show you stuff that no naked eye will show you, and that's only a good thing for finishing, for a decorator. You know that no one's going to see any other little imperfections that this doesn't show you, because this shows up everything. So I'm just going to show you now. You turn on the light manually if you want to, but it does come on with the extractor and the machine itself, should you want to turn it on, but you can turn the light on individually using just that button there. And as you can see, it goes all the way around. I'm just going to plug the hose in just so it keeps it out of the way. It's getting annoying. And when you put that up onto the surface, like I said, it shows up any imperfection in the vicinity you're working in. And believe me when I say, this thing will kill your ego, because you think you're getting good finishes on walls with just a normal sander or something like that. Put this up against the wall and you'll be thinking different, trust me. Okay? So, what's good about the LED light is not only is it bright enough to show up any imperfections, it's actually fully controllable via Bluetooth on your mobile phone. So, I know that sounds crazy, but just down here on the control module is a Bluetooth setting, which when you press that and you have the Festool work app on your phone, it connects the two together and it enables you to control the brightness of the light on the app itself. So there's no actual way of controlling the light brightness on your sander, you have to use the app. I generally just use it as it is, the brightest setting, which I think is around 800 lumens, which doesn't sound bright. I mean, I've got the Light Duo, which is 8,000 lumens, and this thing shows up stuff that light doesn't. So just to get an idea as to how well it highlights imperfections. And on the Festool work app as well, you can check for the status of the sander, where it's last used, how hot it's getting, just generally check the status of the sander, which is quite a cool little feature. I don't use it a lot, but it's there if you need to, and like I said, you can control the light, take it down a bit if it's too bright, or take it up a bit as well, so that's quite cool. So moving around to the actual top of the head here is a suction setting, which can be moved from full suction to virtually no suction, and that suction dictates how well this head sticks to the surface. So if you've got it on full suction, which is shown by an arrow facing up to a ceiling, which is what the full suction setting is generally aimed for, is for taking the weight out of the sander and taking the strain out of your shoulders and your arms. It pulls the sander onto the surface, and I'm going to show you that now very quickly, because you have to see it to believe it. Just a little advice as well, when you're setting the actual sander up, I always plug in the cable first, because I find it's easier to do because it's a twist and lock technology. So when you've got the hose in the way, it's kind of harder to get your hand in. So do the cable first and then do the hose. That could just be me because of the size of my hands, but just a little word of warning. Right, I've plugged that in and got that strapped out of the way. So what I'm going to do, turn the sander on now. Actually no, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on the extractor, but I'm not going to turn the sander on. So I'm just going to show you it just being held onto the surface, but not actually sanding down the ceiling. Yeah, when I went for it up first, I didn't have that on the right setting, so that was on full ceiling mode. And as good as that is, I don't personally work with it in that setting. I normally take it back a bit, so it's kind of like 3/4 of the way between the two, because it just gives it enough bite to the surface that it takes the weight out of it a bit, but not too much that you can't move the sander around too much, because the suction setting can pull too tight to the surface. So if you're working with soft materials like joint compounds or something like that, or a skim coat, it will pull quite tight to the surface, and it can actually take too much material off. So just be careful of that. Get the setting right for the surface you're working on and your personal preference as well. You might have seen there that I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but this is a cool little feature they've given you with the new Planex 2, is a little strap which holds the hose and the cable together on the new end, the new T-style handle, and it just keeps everything together and out of the way, and stops putting too much strain on all the connection points here, because on the older Planex Easy, all the connection points are at the end, and there's no way of preventing strain going on those connection points, and also if you whacked it against the wall or whatever, it could damage both the sander's connection points and also the substrate. So if you've got these out of the way, it just prevents all that from happening, which is brilliant. So you saw the suction ability. Now we're going to work across to the handle. So this, the tube section, the extension settings sections, this is the smallest it can be. So at the smallest it can be, it's about 1.2 meters, 120 centimeters, and you actually get the ability to take it up a notch to 1.7 meters, 170 centimeters, 160 centimeters, something like that. So when you add this on, I'm not going to do on the videos, it's just pointless, but you get the extension setting with the sander when you buy it, and you can actually get another extension section separately. That's a bit of a mouthful. Which gives you 2 added extension sections. That's such a mouthful. And it just gives you the ability to reach further up if you're working on a big ceiling or wall or something. But I normally work with it just like this because I'm quite tall, so having this at this height is just nice for me. But you have the option to do that if you want. Whereas with the Planex Easy, it is as it is. There's no options to adjust it in length or size or anything like that. So that's like that. To do or to remove this as it is, or add another section on, you have a little twist mechanism here. You just flip that if you're looking at it from the handle side anti-clockwise, and then once it's like that, it doesn't just come apart straight away. You need to push the twist mechanism a little bit more. Put my feet on it. There, like that. So it doesn't just come apart straight away. You need to just twist it and then just a little bit more of a twist, and that will allow it to come apart, and then simply click it in place and twist the mechanism back clockwise, and that locks it into place. Moving up, I mentioned before you have the Bluetooth setting there to connect to your phone, which is brilliant, and then you have the light setting here, which is something you put on manually if you want. So if you just want to quickly put the stand up against the ceiling on the wall, you can just go around and have a little look around, almost use it as a scanning light. I mean, it's quite a bulky scanning light, but it can be done like that. And then when you turn the sander on, the light comes on automatically, unless you use the Festool work app to turn the light off permanently. There's a setting on there which gives you the option to turn it off permanently for whatever reason. I don't know why you'd bother, but yeah. So you turn the sander on, light comes on, touch comes on. And when I'm running this sander, I'm normally running it around the 2 or 3 speed setting, depending on the surface I'm working on. I find that if you have it on 6, it's just sometimes too much for most substrates. It can be quite an aggressive sander, despite it being an eccentric motion sander. It can be quite aggressive. So just find that sweet spot. Have your extraction where you need it to be. I never really have it on full. It's about 3/4, and then speed sort of halfway, suction 3/4 of the way, halfway, and just change it around as you need to. Never really have them all on full, because that will, if you're working with paint more than skim coats, it'll just clog up the paper and just things like that. So just be mindful of that. One cool little feature they've given you the option for, because they come with it as opposed to buying them separately. You can buy them separately, but these little hose cable connectors, Velcro straps, and they're just brilliant for keeping everything nice and tight, nice and tidy. You don't have cables getting in the way and stuff like that. So it's pretty neat in that respect as well. One thing I will say is this Planex 2, if I was to compare it to any other sander, it wouldn't be any of the previous Planex models. It would actually be the ETS 155 or the 153, depending on which one you've got. This is the 5mm stroke. The other one's a 3mm stroke. This one's a 4mm stroke. And why I say it reminds me, or I compare it to this more than any other Planex model, is this is an eccentric motion sander, and so is this. And although the size of the head is different, and obviously you've got the long reachability, the finish you get with this Planex sander is more comparable to the ETS 150, just in a bigger form. This is known as a Rolls-Royce sander in the decorating world, at least anyway, because it's such a nice sander to use. It gives such a great finish. Obviously, depending on the grit of sandpaper you're using, you can use 80 grit and it will strip surfaces, but then you switch to 400 grit and it will give you a superb fine finish ready for painting. And the same applies to this Planex 2 model. It's just a bigger version of the ETS 150 with a light bar and a long reachability and Bluetooth and all these other cool little features. So if I was to compare it, it would be actually the ETS 150 as opposed to the Planex Easy. If your budget doesn't stretch to the Planex 2, the Planex Easy isn't a bad option to go for. And I'm just going to give you a little demo or a little run through of a few settings that I like to use if I was to use the Easy over the Planex 2, because I couldn't afford the Planex 2 for whatever reason. Then you end up getting a Planex Easy, because this is £600, that's £1,100, so there's a bit of a price difference. I mean, in between that price bracket is the ability to buy an ETS 155 if you wanted to. But the Planex Easy isn't a bad option to go for. And I'm just going to give you a few settings that I like to go for if I'm working with it, which is very rarely now because I've got the Planex 2. But with the Planex Easy, if I show you up close here, the pad is set back from the brushes here, and those brushes keep the dust contained within this area and they help it extract better. But when you push this down to the surface, the brushes, or the head comes forward and the brushes go back. So what happens is you're pushing on the sander to create contact with the surface you're sanding down. And that's great when you're working in small areas, but when you're doing large areas, it can become quite fatiguing on your arms and your shoulders. So one thing I like to do, if I'm sanding down joint compounds, skim coats, anything like that, or fillers, I will use the Granat Soft Abrasive. And it's exactly the same as the regular Granat, except for the fact that it has a thin layer of foam on the back of it. And what that does, I'm not going to line these holes up because it will just take too long, but what that does, if you can see on the video, I'm not sure, it brings the abrasive closer to the surface before you make the contact. So you have to push onto it as much to create contact with the joint compound. And also what this does is it cushions against the joint compound and skim coats and things like that. So when you put it on, if you put it on slightly wonky, you put the tip of it on too far first or whatever, it cushions against it, so it doesn't just gouge straight into the joint compound and create marks and stuff. So it's a little bit more forgiving in that respect. And then if I'm sanding down emulsion, like roller marks, roller skipple, brush marks and things like that, I'll use the old or the regular Granat, but the thing I'll put on first, and it's a similar principle to the Granat Soft, it's an interface pad. This is built for the Planex sanders. It's actually designed for the older model, not this one, but it does work. It's a little bit of a hack. So again, I'm not going to bother lining the holes up, but what that does is it actually takes it further than the Granat Soft, and it past the brushes and the extraction containment area. And what that enables you to do when you chuck the Granat abrasive on, it takes it further than the brushes, so it's instant contact with the surface, which means you don't have to push so hard on the surface when you're sanding down emulsion and things like that. So the extraction is reduced considerably, but when you're sanding down emulsion, you don't get that fine dust particle like you do with a joint compound or skim coat. So that's just a little bit of a hack with the Planex Easy. One thing I will say is if you're looking for a sander to remove texture coatings like they have in America, I mean in the UK it's slightly different, we don't have something called popcorn texture, but we have other versions of it, but it's not the same. If you're looking for a sander to remove popcorn texture in the USA or Canada, the Planex Easy would be a better option, I believe. This is a finishing sander. This is going to be better for achieving fine results on many substrates, but I wouldn't suggest using it as a removal tool. I'd stick with the Planex Easy or the older Planex model, which is one I haven't used, but I see a lot of people using it in that way. I can't talk from experience because I've never done it, but from looking at them, the older Planex, its extraction around the outside is bigger on the Planex Easy than the new Planex 2. Although there is still extraction around the outside, this is bigger and just has more area for bigger material to go down. This is more of a finishing sander for thin, fine particles of dust and stuff like that. So if you're looking for a removal machine for popcorn and stuff, then this Planex Easy would be a better option. And also, if your budget doesn't stretch the Planex 2, it still isn't a bad option to go for. But overall, I'm loving this Planex 2 model. It's been absolutely phenomenal. As I said before, it reminds me more of the ETS 150. I can count on one hand how many times I've used that since getting this. This comes out on all sealing and wall preparation now, from sanding down fillers and joint compound to in between coats for finishing and stuff. So it's just phenomenal. It's as easy, if not easier to use than the older Planex models. It's got a whole host of new features, and as I said earlier on, it will take your preparation to the next level. I'm just going to show you quickly how it all comes in the box, because it comes in a new sustainer as well as opposed to a bag, so just check this little clip out quickly as well.
Okay, so just a little show of the new Planex LHS 2225. This is the new sustainer that it comes in. This is an XXL sustainer. It's very big. It's not as deep as the old Cis 5s. It's a little bit shallower than that, but it's considerably longer, and that fits in the entire Planex with extensions as well. So when you buy it, this is what you're going to get in the box. You get the main sander itself, the main section there. You get the first extension, a second extension. You get a packet of hose clips, and these are really nifty because when you're working, there's nothing worse than having your hose and cable getting caught up together. So this is really good for attaching the cable to the hose. You get this, which is a handle connector for the hose and cable. So this keeps the hose and cable from putting too much strain on the connection points, which I'll show you in a bit on the main review. And also you get a packet of 5 180 grit abrasives, the newer style abrasives, which are the multi-hole ones. I actually gave them away to someone, but that's what you get in the box when you get it. The box also has space for an extra extension, so if you wanted to get a third extension, second middle extension, then that would fit in there as well. But this is as it comes, and there's just a bit of information on the actual lid showing you the connection points for the new interface pad. Oh, and it also comes with the plug-it cable as well, but that's currently on the extractor, showing you how to connect it and things like that. So that's the new Planex. Let's have a look what comes in the packet when you get the older Planex Easy. So this is the Planex Easy. This is the last newest model, so not the oldest one. This is the in-between model of that one and the eldest Planex. It comes in a soft case, which gives it pretty adequate protection against beatings in the van and on the work site. Nothing like you'd get from a sustainer in the styrofoam padding, obviously. So it's very basic with the Planex Easy. It just comes with 2 Velcro fastening points on some sort of styrofoam polystyrene blocks at the back and the front. Simply disconnect them. There is a bit of resistance because it does kind of clip into them, and then if I can get it out, there we go. And this is an all-in-one unit. It comes as it is. You can't add bits on, you can't take bits off. It's very simple. It's very easy to set up, hence the name Planex Easy. This is the lower end long reach sander, but by no means low quality. It's just their lower price point Planex sander. So that's really what you get. It comes with a plug-it cable, of course, and I believe it came with a 1 sheet of abrasive in typical Festool style. But as I said in the other one, you get a pack of 5 now, so maybe they're offering a few more abrasives for the price.
So as you can see, it comes in a much better system for storage. The bag's great, but the sustainers are better. Just keeps everything tidier and more protected as well. So that's good. But overall, yeah, it's been a fantastic sander. I love it. I highly recommend getting it if you can. And stay tuned for another video, hopefully coming soon.